lesson number 5, we look at the global impact digital marketing might have on an organization. In this lesson, we look at the global organizational impacts of digital marketing, more specifically from an organizational structure point of view. When embracing digital marketing, organizations are faced with the challenge of centralizing to ensure control, consistency and economies of scale, or delegating at the local level to offer a better tailored consumer experience. Which is best? At the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the best governance styles for your organization, discuss various techniques to enhance the effectiveness of your digital marketing team. But let's first look at governance style found in organizations. Governance styles. Governance styles. What is your current marketing team structure? At lower maturity levels, we often see a centralized approach, while the most frequent structure for more mature organization is the hub and spoke model. Organizing for digital also needs to fit the way your company is structured. Think about shared, mature functions like HR, finance, and IT. Are they centralized, distributed? Maybe it's a mix. We usually see a progression where digital starts from the edge of an organization, as opposed to a top-down CMO or CEO mandate, that is characterized by limited point-to-point connections between groups involved in digital marketing campaigns, but without a single team acting as the center of gravity for digital business practice. Over time, many organizations begin with an ad hoc structure, often due to the lack of senior leader accountable for digital media, then migrate to a centralized model to control organic growth, which might have the undesired side effect of over-control, a slower pace, and rogue initiatives. And finally, to a hub and spoke model, once an enterprise-level strategy and governance system is in place that gives spokes autonomy to apply digital to their area. A company culture that is risk-averse, such as financial services and healthcare, is more likely to be organized as a centralized group, while organizations more accepting of risk are willing to organize around the hub and spoke model, which grants autonomy to business units and functions. Even in the case of risk-averse organizations, we see an eventual migration to hub and spoke, but it takes time to build governance practice. Even after considering these factors, know that your structure will likely evolve over time as your digital business matures and confidence to grant autonomy to departments outside the digital team grows. The centralized approach often revolves around what is called a center of excellence. Digital Marketing Center of Excellence evolution. A digital marketing center of excellence is an organizational design approach which maximizes the potential opportunities of digital media and technology to meet marketing goals, encourage adoption of best practices, educate business stakeholders, and provide technology and insight across the organization. Initially, in the first stage, the team aimed to define overarching guidelines by establishing fundamental policies like campaign management, rules and guidelines, measurement standards through key performance indicators, or KPIs for short, define basic procedures for handling trouble tickets or requesting analysis help, and implement the initial governance process. In the second phase of the Digital Marketing Center of Excellence evolution, they will act as a product and test infrastructure utility. The Center of Excellence will work as a shared service. Their goal is to consolidate cost and procurement. They want to set up and maintain the enabling capabilities of marketing. The team will aim to achieve training and certification. In the third phase, the group will act as a central source of service and expertise for the entire organization. This includes domain-specific expertise, shared services teams for specialized activities. Finally, in the fourth phase, the group will act as an innovation authority and flexible resource pool. The Center of Excellence functions as a service to business teams. They offer resources, methodologies, tools, expertise, governance, and cross-functional analytics expertise. Obviously, throughout those phases, change management is critical and onboarding members from the extended team is essential. One governance aspect touches on the breakdown of tasks related to campaigns. Some techniques to enhance digital marketing efficiency. So it's useful to define what we call a marketing activity taxonomy. So we have four major levels: campaign, program, tactics, and playbook. So at the campaign level, we have team-based initiatives. What is the campaign going to be about? It should focus on the need of your target audience and offer tangible solutions, and is obviously very specific to the industry. But this leads to a program on how this is going to be executed. So is it going to be about reputation management, demand creation, sales, or maybe market intelligence? So when comes the time to actually execute the program, you need some tactics. And those tactics are basically what we talked about. Are you going to use paid search, display advertising, email campaigns, social, and so on? And over time, you will develop playbooks, your own way of doing your best practices internally. So those playbooks might be about how to do specific activities like managing AdWords campaigns on Google. It can define the processes that you need to go through in order to get approval for new initiatives. It includes best practices, measurement strategy, and of course, campaign naming conventions, which are going to be very important because those will allow you to tie back in a simple way the source of traffic to your site and the actual outcome. So overall, what you want to look at is what kind of digital marketing campaign do you want to launch? How will it impact the global or local levels? Which outcome do we expect? Is it going to be a brand awareness and a reputation campaign, or a campaign about a brand new product? Where will it run? Over which mediums and tactics? And how are we going to make it happen? So as an example, we can look at a pharmaceutical company who went through the process of establishing a center of excellence. In the case of this pharmaceutical company, a very large organization with hundreds of different brands of drugs, sometimes with different names for each specialized local market. So management was also very sensible and aware of privacy implications in this industry. In fact, local marketing teams often worked with local agencies because they knew more about the local market. And this led to potentially using different marketing technologies altogether. So in this case, the approach, because they already had brand guidelines defined at the headquarter level, they opted to create a central team which was tasked to define global level key performance indicator, tracking requirements, and reporting structure. Later, a hub and spoke model naturally emerged, allowing the local marketing team to comply with headquarter requirements while having a certain level of flexibility to improve and extend the minimal sets of requirements. Deploying at such a large scale had to begin with a minimum viable product. Attempting to impose a rigid requirements and implement complex requirements would have alienated the remote teams and led to the natural tendency to bypass the headquarters standards. So one important activity conducted with the extended team pertained to the clarification of roles and responsibilities using what is known as a RACI matrix. A responsibility assignment matrix, also known as a RACI matrix, describes the participation by various roles in completing tasks or deliverables for a project or business process. It is especially useful in clarifying roles and responsibilities in cross-functional or departmental projects and processes. So we define four main roles. The first one is responsible. Those who do the work to achieve the task. There's usually at least one role with a participation type of responsible, and other people can be delegated to assist in the work required. The second one is accountable, or think of it as the approver or the final approving authority. This is the person ultimately who can answer for the correct and completion of the deliverable or task, and the one who delegates the work to those responsible. In other words, an accountable must sign off or approve work that responsible people provides. There must be only one accountable specific for each task or deliverable. Consulted, sometimes consultant or counsel, those are the people whose opinions are sought for, typically subject matter experts, and with whom there's two-way communication. And the last one is informed, also informee. Those people are kept up to date on progress, often only on completion of the task or deliverable, and with whom there's just a one-way communication. Maybe the best way to describe that is to give another example. In the case of a local media player, they had a dozen of websites covering news, automotive, sports, and so on. Each product owner was left to define their marketing strategies, use whichever KPIs and analytics they pleased, leading to a mixed level of interest and maturity toward digital marketing and analytics. So in this case, the approach was that a newly appointed VP of marketing gave them some time to come up with their recommended KPIs and requirements. But seeing that it wasn't really working and going anywhere, the manager eventually imposed a solution and requested a clearly defined set of KPIs be delivered on a weekly basis. The level of maturity quickly increased under his management, but when he got promoted to a different role in the organization, teams eventually dropped down to a lower level of maturity. They had lost their executive sponsor, their champion. As we see in this example, the concept of global versus local is a matter of scale. In fact, we should talk about centralized versus decentralized approach. If we had to choose a brand that exemplifies many aspects of the digital transformation, Red Bull would certainly be an excellent choice. Red Bull is actually an Austrian company, but they do such a great job with their global marketing effort that actually many Americans assume that it's a local brand. The way they do it is, one of their most successful tactics is to host extreme sports events all over the world, from the Red Bull Indianapolis Grand Prix to the Red Bull Air Race in the United Kingdom or the Red Bull Crashed Ice in Quebec City. The brand's powerful event marketing strategy takes them here, there, and everywhere. Red Bull would probably not exist if it wasn't for the digital economy, social media, digital marketing. In fact, is Red Bull really an energy drink company or an extreme sports promoter or a media company? So Red Bull managed its brands to perfection and leveraged digital marketing and social media to the max. Key takeaways. The two main points to remember from this lesson are the following. Whether it is best to have a global digital marketing approach or a local one is largely determined by the size, type, and culture of the organization. Organizing around a center of excellence, defining your marketing activity taxonomy, and building a RACI matrix of tasks, roles, and responsibilities are sound strategies to foster effectiveness and collaboration of your digital marketing team.